Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carrie and this is my book corner. All right, first off, I want to say happy fall because it is September, which is officially the fall season in my opinion, and I'm loving it. Of course, today is supposed to be like 78, 79 degrees, but you know what? It's okay. In the mornings, it's so nice and cool and it just feels like fall, you know? I'm so ready. But anyway, we're not here to talk about fall. We are here to talk about all the books that I read in the month of August. And I read a pretty good amount. I read a total of 8 books, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. I read 8 books and it was a great month. You'll see a theme. I kind of stuck with one kind of book and just went along for the ride. And you know what? It happens like that sometimes. So I'm okay with it. I'm happy with the books I read. I didn't read any terrible books. So that's always a win in my opinion. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first book I read in August is Echo Burning by Lee Child. This is what, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, the fourth, I think. I think this is the fourth Jack Reacher book, and it was not my favorite. He was in Texas. Jack Reacher was in Texas, and he gets picked up by this woman, and she tells him her life story, and she has a problem, and she needs his help. He doesn't really want to help, but he's kind of stuck and he almost has no choice. So he, goes along and tries to help her. And of course, things ensue and they all get in trouble. This was not, like I said, this was not my favorite Jack Reacher book. I mean, the one good thing was that there was not really a romance. Yay. But the one thing that really just grinds my gears. Every paragraph, they just keep on talking about how hot it was. So hot. Like, no shit, you're in Texas. Okay, it's going to be hot. But every paragraph, every chapter, they're talking about the heat and how hot it is. And it got old fast. But I just, I read through and the ending was okay, but like I said, not the best Jack Reacher book, but it is what it is. So that's the first book I read in August. So not the greatest start, but not terrible. After that, I read, can you guess? I read Without Fail. This is another Jack Reacher novel. So obviously this is probably the fifth. And this one was better. I was very excited for this one because it sounded like a Vince Flynn political thriller type thing. He's working with, what is she? He's working with a Secret Service agent in this one, and she needs his help because it seems like the vice president elect is in danger, and she wants Reacher to kind of see where the Secret Service's weaknesses are and to see what they can improve upon to make sure that the vice president elect doesn't get. And it turned out it was not like a Vince Flynn book, but that's not to say it's a bad thing. Obviously, it's Lee Child. It's not Vince Flynn. But this one, I will tell you right now, I was shocked. I could not believe that I actually cried. Who cries in a Jack Reacher novel? Well, apparently I do. I couldn't believe it. I surprised myself when those tears started building up in my in my eyeballs. Got a little misty, and maybe a tear fell down. I couldn't believe it. But so all that to say, it was this one was more action packed, and like I said, with the Vince Flynn comparison, Vince Flynn's writing has more of the political intrigue. This one not so much, but I really like the twist at the end. So this was a pretty solid book in the Reacher series, and I'm really glad I read it. I read this so fast. I think I read it in one day. It was enjoyable, and again, like I said, it made me cry. So do with that what you will. I was very shocked. Okay, after that, I wanted a little break from the Reacher novels because they're over 500 pages, and sometimes I don't want to read like a 500 plus page book. So I figured, you know what? I finished the first book in this series the previous month, and I figured, you know what? I need to at least continue because that ending. So this is Close to the Edge by Anna Britton. So this is book 2 in the Martin and Stern series. I don't think there's a name for it, but like I had said before, and I said in my wrap up, the first book in this series, shot something I forget. I'll put it here. The ending of that was insane. I couldn't believe it. I ran and bought this right away, and this one was not. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I did the first book. The first book was obviously you were learning about the characters and learning how they are and how they work, how Martin works with Stern and all that stuff, right? This one, you already know how Martin and Stern work together. You know, you basically have a feel for the characters now. You know what kind of people they are. And Martin was just kind of an idiot in this one, shall I say. She didn't, it seems like she really was not good at her job in this one. There was a case of a missing person, and she didn't even, it seemed like she didn't even care about the case at all. And I'm like, in real life, okay, I know she was concentrating on one other case, which I can't tell you about unless you've read the first book. So I understand that took priority, but at the same time, it should not have taken priority because it was not her case. The missing persons case was hers, and she just put it on the back burner and, you know, let the pieces fall where they may. And at the end, they just got lucky. So didn't really love this one, but I did like in Martin's personal life where that went. So I'm still going to continue. The third book just came out, and I'm going to give it a shot, but I think I'm going to take a little bit of a breather because Martin just ticked me off in this. She just changed from the first book to the second, and I don't know, but I am going to give another chance because the writing is amazing. If I hadn't said before, Anna Britton with these Martin and Stern books, the way she writes the mixed media aspect makes the book fly by, right? So you have like the chapter, right? And then after that, it's like a newspaper clipping. And then after that, it's like an email. And then it goes into the next chapter. And then it's, you know, and then the chapters aren't very long. So then you have a short chapter, and then maybe there's a text message thread. And then maybe there's like a phone call conversation. And then maybe an online article. And because of that, it makes it so fast to read. I'm like, oh, I can read, you know, I'll look ahead a couple pages and I'll be like, okay, I can read an email and a text message, boom, boom, boom. And then before you know it, oh, that chapter's not long. And then after the chapter, there's another email, another, you know, newspaper clipping, and it flies by. So that's probably the best thing about Anna Britton's writing with these books. So there is Close to the Edge. All right. After that, I got my, was this my first one? I think this was my very first book from Aardvark, right? Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to cancel my Book of the Month subscription because they promoted that one author who admits to using AI, and Book of the Month is like, yeah, whatever, sure, let's go ahead and sell your book. Ew. So people kept on recommending Aardvark, and so I went and checked them out, and they have a code that you can get and get your first book from them for $4. $4, free shipping, a hardcover book. Say less, say less. So I found What Hunger by Catherine Dang. So this is a horror novel, and it's about this Vietnamese family, and the parents had moved to America, and they had their 2 children, Veronica and Tommy, I think his name was. Yes. And the book is from Veronica's point of view, and they call her Ronnie. She's like kind of living in her older brother's shadow. He's like valedictorian at his high school. He's super smart. and he has friends and he has a job, and his parents are very proud of him. He's going to go to college, and Ronnie is just a few years younger than him, so she hasn't really done much anything, and what have you. But her and Ronnie are close, and tragedy strikes their family, and Ronnie has to deal with the aftermath, and also how her parents deal with the aftermath. And look, I like this. I'll say it. I did like this. But it had very, very similar vibes to The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. And I absolutely love The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I don't know if you can see on my shelf here. I don't know if it's in frame, but I love that book. I love that book. This gave me very, very, very similar vibes for an Asian American teenager, dealing with stuff, and how they process and work through the stuff that they're going through. I don't want to say it was a copy, but it almost felt like it. And I hate saying that because I flew through this. I read it super fast. Ronnie was a great character. What she went through, the trauma that she experienced, I don't know what I would do. But you have to check triggers, obviously, for any book, but especially like a horror book. But this one was okay. Look, I really liked it. Okay, I'm probably like rambling on by now. But because the similarities with The Eyes Are the Best Part, and just how the ending twist, I didn't really enjoy that little plot twist at the end. But the rest of the story, and Ronnie as a character, she's great. So I would recommend this if you want to give it a try. Look at the triggers. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was pretty good. I'll just say that. It was pretty good. Okay. Sorry for all that rambling. I'm like, all right. After that, I wanted to stick with that kind of theme. I can't tell you the last time I read a romance. It's been a minute. But I was looking on my shelves and I said, you know what? I have not read the next Alex North book that I have on my shelf. So, The Angel Maker. I enjoyed this. I did. I did not enjoy it as much as I did his other two books that I read, The Shadows and the Whisper Man. I think that's what it was called. I love those. Those books are basically 5 stars. This one was not 5 stars, but it was at least a 4 star for what I remember, what I rated it. Sure. This one was interesting. So you have Katie and her brother Chris. When they were younger, her brother Chris was attacked, and he survived. But after that, he kind of, an attack like that changes you, right? So as they grew up to adults, they weren't as close as they used to be, and Chris was also battling addiction and, trying to process his trauma that he went through as a child, as a teenager. And then you have this professor who was killed in his big mansion, right? So then you have the point of view from the detective who's investigating it, and there's all these secrets, and then you have these letters and things from that professor that he was talking about from whenever he was younger. It's this whole like winding story through all these different people, and you learn about this serial killer, the Angel Maker, who had killed children back, how many years ago, and that serial killer claimed that he knew the future. It was very, if you've read Alex North, if you've read like especially the Whisper Man, I think you would understand a little bit of what I'm talking about with Alex North's writing. Everything is intricate, and the whole time I'm trying to figure out what was connected to what and how these things were connected. And it was just fun. I was just trying to figure out what the heck was going on, who did what and why they did that. And I enjoyed it. This was really fun. And this was a great this is a great read to read like around this time of year. I think it's a little creepy, especially with the serial killer mystery aspect and stuff, and you learn more details about that. I liked it. It's not my favorite of his, but it was still a solid read, and I think Alex North might be an auto-buy author for me as he continues writing in the future. So there is The Angel Maker. Okay, after that, I decided, you know what? Let's go back to what I know and let's go back to the Jack Reacher books. So the next book is Persuader. This was so good. I read the prologue and I was like, oh my God, this would work so well in the show, right? I was like, man, this would translate so well to TV. And then I looked it up and it turns out that the next season of Reacher that I haven't watched yet, it's already been on, but season 3 of Reacher is based on this book and I am super excited to watch it. We're still maybe halfway through season 2. So, it's going to be a little bit, we don't have a lot of time to watch it, but I am looking forward to watching season 3. Finally, I've read the book before the show and I can't wait to see how they do it. But this one takes place in Maine, and maybe a person from Jack Reacher's past comes into play, and Jack Reacher has to deal with that person and deal with his past and what happened. And I absolutely enjoyed this. This was so action-packed. This was so fun. I actually enjoyed the flashbacks with Reacher in this one. Sometimes with Reacher, like when I do the flashbacks, I'm like, especially in the show, those are the most boring parts. Those are the most boring parts. But this one I really enjoyed because I wanted to see what was it about this person that has Jack Reacher acting this way. And it was so fun. Like I said, I can't wait to see how the show does it. I'm a little nervous because I know they're going to add romance. Look, Lee Child is not the greatest at writing like the romance aspect, okay? For some reason, he needs to give Jack Reacher a different woman in every single book, and it's getting old. Or it got old after like book 3, but it is what it is. But the actual action, the actual story, and the actual plot, I was able to, overlook the stupid romance part that he tries to write. But I really like this, and I really recommend this. This is probably my favorite Reacher book so far out of all the ones I've read, and that's saying something. So, Persuader. All right. And then, come on, can you guess? I had to continue on with the Jack Reacher books. So this one is The Enemy. Now, this is one where I was a little nervous because this one is almost like a prequel. This is back whenever Jack Reacher was still in the military, and I'm like, so I like looked it up, making sure that I was like, man, are you sure that this is like the next book in the series? And, it's listed as number 8, and I'm like, okay, but it doesn't take, I was confused, but I started reading it and I'm like, yep, you know what? This is like a prequel book. This is it takes place in 1990. Okay. And the other ones are like in the 90s. And I was like, okay, I guess this is a full blown in the past Jack Reacher story. And it wasn't as bad as I was thinking. I don't know why I was so hellbent on being against it. Like, why? Like, I don't want something that happened already. But at the same time, it was kind of nice to see Jack Reacher in the military and how he was, and not just in the flashback bits and pieces from the other books, right? So it was this big case that he was working on, and it's what led to, it changed his path in the military, shall I say. And that was really interesting to see and to read about and to learn about. But there was in the first basically half, or at least the first third, there were a lot of like defamatory, and there were some slurs. There were homophobic remarks and a lot of homophobic names called and just slurs being used. And I hated it so much. Luckily, after that third or half or whatever, it basically stopped because it moved on. But it pissed me off so bad. And don't tell me it's because of the time period. Okay, it's never been a good thing to be homophobic. Okay, I'll just say that. I don't care what time period it was. It's disgusting. So that rubbed me the wrong way. It really did. And it kind of dampened my feelings for this book. Like I said, eventually they stopped and then it moved on, but it just put a bad taste in my mouth. And overall, if you ignore that, which you shouldn't, but if you just think about the story as a whole, great case. It was a great case. And how Reacher dealt with it, admirable. You could tell, you learned he was actually, in fact, a really good investigator in the military. But I just couldn't get past the homophobic slurs and stuff. So that kind of, ugh. So this was not my favorite Jack Reacher book. Sorry. All right. Last but not least is probably the Reacher book that I was most looking forward to reading. Okay. This is One Shot. Okay. This is book number 9, I'm pretty sure, if I was counting right. This is book 9 in the Reacher series. And this is the one where I told you in my last video, this is the one where the movie with Tom Cruise is based on, Jack Reacher. And I love that movie. I do. I do. I love that movie. So it was fun to finally read the book, read the source material that the movie's based on. And I really enjoyed it. The things they changed in the movie, I understand why they did that. Sometimes it makes me so mad when they change so many things, and they changed a lot in the movie. In the book, some of it was kind of like, that's convenient. That's convenient. Oh, of course, that would happen. That's, come on, a little bit too convenient. But in the movie, they changed some of that to make it a little less convenient. And I understand why they did that. The book itself is, there was a sniper, and the person who they arrest, they have all this evidence, airtight case, and he won't say anything except get Jack Reacher. And they're like, who the hell is Jack Reacher? Right? So they're trying to find Reacher, but Reacher, he's already on his way because he saw it on the news and he recognizes the man that they arrested. So he needs to come through because he made this person a promise. So he gets there and he basically just falls into the investigation, and he has to figure out, did they get the wrong guy, or did this man actually commit the crime, and Reacher will be there to make sure he goes to jail for the rest of his life. I did a horrible job at explaining that, but it's hard to not spoil it, but it was really fun. I really liked seeing the DA and the detective, all that work with the case. And it was also fun seeing Reacher work with the defense attorney and investigate the case. And of course, seeing, on the outside, seeing like the bad guys, see what they're up to. So this was good. I don't know if I like this more, or if I like the movie more. In the movie, I really wish they just would have had, someone who, like the actor on the show, someone who's actually over 6 foot and 200 pounds, but aesthetics, whatever, it doesn't matter. I enjoy the movie. I enjoy the book. It was fun. It was a good time. And I can't wait to just continue on with the series. So there we go. That is the 8th and final book that I read in August. That is it. I had a pretty darn good reading month. I think 8 books in a month is great. And I can't wait to see what I get into next. I end all my videos, I usually talk about the book I'm currently reading. And right now I'm currently reading nothing, because I started reading Pet Sematary by Stephen King. And man, I'm on page 18 and I just want to stop. Like, have you guys read Pet Sematary? Should I continue on? Because right now I am so bored, and I don't know, I'm not like vibing with the writing, and I don't know. So I might have to pick something else up. especially because today's what, the 3rd, and I haven't read anything yet. So yeah, that's sad. So anyway, in the comments, let me know what you're currently reading. Maybe you can give me some ideas, what something I could pick up. And also, let me know in the comments how many books you read in August, and did you find a new favorite? My favorite book of the month, I'm sorry, dog, was probably Persuader. I think I enjoyed this. I had the most fun with this, shall I say. So was it a 5-star? No, but it was pretty darn close, and I had a good time, and that's what matters when you read. As long as you're having fun, then you're good to go. So I think that is all I have for you today. I'm trying to think, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. So, like I said, feel free to comment down below what you're currently reading, how many books you read in August, all that jazz, because I love talking with you guys down in the comments. Okay, so I guess I will end this video here, and feel free to hit that subscribe button because it really helps out my channel. I want to thank all the new subscribers that have, joined over here. I love having you, and I hope you'll stick around and see more videos from me. I'm deciding what my next video is going to be, but I have an idea. So we'll see if that will, actually happen. But that's all I'm going to tell you. And without further ado, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you guys in my next video. All right. Bye, guys.